Joining us right now is the Washington Examiner political reporter Emily Larson and Democratic strategist and Elite Change president, CEO Dallas Jones. Great to see you both this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, reactions to the debate. Dallas, let me kick it off with you. What do you think?
Well, it was an exciting time here in Houston. What I saw was a stage of well-qualified candidates that are ready to take on this 2020 campaign to win the White House, and it was a very exciting debate at times.
That's good. Who do you think is the most well-qualified? Who's the best qualified?
Who do I think is the best qualified? Well, that's a great question. I saw some great moments last night from a number of people. I thought Vice President Biden was extremely strong last night. I saw some really good moments and a rise and uptick from Beto O'Rourke. I saw Kamala Harris have moments of shining. Elizabeth Warren dove into policy. I think all of those are well-qualified candidates. Some of the candidates on the stage last night, I was a little less impressed with their performance. And that's the reason for this dialogue and for these debates that the DNC will continue to have over the next couple of months.
It's a good point, because the narrowing of the field has to happen. Who should go next time? Who do you think was not qualified and should just go home?
Well, I have to be honest, I was quite disappointed in Andrew Yang's performance. He was basically not there last night. Absolutely. And certainly I think most of the times he spoke, it was about giving dividends or you know, what is being called the Oprah moments. I didn't think that necessarily was healthy to the dialogue.
Everybody gets $1,000. You get $1,000. You get $1,000. All right, Emily, real quick, what did you think? Then I got to get the panel in. Go ahead.
Well, I think that the major thing here is that there was nothing in this debate last night that seems like it's going to change the race at this point. And I think that's something that a lot of these candidates that are sort of in the mid to low tier were trying to do, is get a breakout moment. I didn't really see that happen. Another thing is that Vice President Biden, it was sort of like a show between him, Warren, and Bernie Sanders over health care. And a lot of it was, I think, maybe kind of confusing for voters. And it also shows that the Democratic Party has not set out to say whether they support Medicare for all or another, incremental approach, and to try to get to that public option.
Guys, let me just tell you what our dear friend Lee Carter said, because she did dials right after the debate, and she says, here are my dials from last night. Bottom line, Castro and Harris are done. Biden did fine, but not good enough. No one stood out. No one moved independents. None of this suggests to me that there's a candidate up there that can beat Trump at this moment. Everybody wants to go drinking with Yang. That's from Lee Carter. Thank you, Lee.
They want to get on the Yang's list for the free, $1,000 a month for the rest of your life program. I thought that was hilarious. But I kind of agree with Dallas. I really don't know what that added to the debate or how that really moves the policy needle for Democrats. I thought it was sort of a out of the blue suggestion, which got him some attention, though. We're talking about him this morning, which isn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, you have an entire segment on trade, and instead of talking about the policies of trade that they disagree, they attack the president personally. And I heard nothing, and I wonder what our guests think about the USMCA, because you can't talk about his soybeans piling up and not being able to send them to Mexico, which is a huge purchaser of them.
What a good point. Emily, Dallas, what's your reaction there? We didn't hear about USMCA. We didn't hear about an economy that is slowing. The real issues that are pocketbook issues for the American people, the only pocketbook issue I heard about was health care.
Certainly, I think that also... Oh, you go ahead.
Go ahead, Emily.
Well, I think that one of the things that we didn't really hear a lot about was the booming economy, which is something that, of course, the candidates don't want to highlight. And they want to only attack the things that they see as failures of the Trump administration, which are tariffs and things that they think are hurting voters, especially those farmers in early primary states like Iowa. And so that was probably one of the reasons why we didn't hear a lot about the successes of the economy right now.
But Dallas, USMCA is important. Omid makes the right point. How come we're not talking about the soybean farmers and the fact that China is making concessions here, and the fact that USMCA needs to be brought to the floor?
Right. Well, I think I made the point earlier that there's still much dialogue to be had, the economy certainly being one of them. I think many of the things that were discussed last night are aspects of the economy. The ability for Americans to pay for health care and affordable health care is a reasonable discussion. And certainly the notion, I think I heard Emily say earlier that that it sounds like we couldn't agree on Medicare or Medicare for all or what exactly it is that we wanted. Yeah. Well, the reality of it is that it is a very complicated complicated conversation that should be had in depth. And
Well,
so
we've
a
had the
number of the
conversation.
issues that were discussed
Hasn't
last
been
night had to
complicated for
do
us,
with.
Dagan. Dagan has outlined this issue umpteen times. So
Right.
it's so complicated.
Private insurance goes away, and you're going to have to more than, I said this earlier, you have to more than double the taxes collected by the federal government from not only corporations but individuals in order to even begin to start to pay for Medicare for all. A lot of that was just completely glossed over last night. But I want to just commend ABC News for one thing.
I think
a
that
much
was
better.
definitely talked about. There was.
What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
What did you want to say, Dallas?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said I think that was definitely talked about when each candidate was highlighting the cost of each other's plans. While some did not offer specific numbers, there were numbers that were thrown around in the discussion, and part of it talked about how it would increase in terms of tax and who would be taxed, and they made it abundantly clear. There were candidates that said that they believed that they would tax a certain percentage of the wealthy in order to carry out what they thought in their plans.
Yeah, but that's the point, right? The point is you would have to take all the income from the wealthy, not just tax the income from the wealthy, to pay for these programs. And I mean, I think Elizabeth Warren gets away with basically saying that the same group, corporations and the wealthiest Americans, are going to pay for 62 different programs. It's not just health care. It's also the environment. It's also Social Security. It's not going to work.
Well, I just want to say, there's a question that we're not answering. What is wealthy?
Is it
$130,000, Dallas? Is it $150,000? Is that where the
Well, I
tax
certainly
increase is?
wouldn't consider that
The
wealthy.
American people deserve to know. Those people making $130,000, are they going to get taxed?
Well,
I think
and again, I think that's part of the conversation. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I think Elizabeth Warren's plan, her 2% tax, is people who are making over $50 million. And so it's these ultra millionaires and billionaires. But there is some question, as Joe Biden pointed out, about how much this tax could actually pay for. I mean, she uses her wealth tax proposal as sort of her go-to for every policy proposal that she wants to fund. And so I think he pretty effectively tried to poke some holes in that, which was interesting because Warren has sort of rised in the polls over the summer, in part because she has this plan for everything.
Yeah,
and
but
Biden
that's the
poked
wealth tax. Raising taxes on the rich is really talking about rich being $130,000 to $150,000. This is the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
This is much more than the billionaire set. When we say the rich, people think we're talking about billionaires. That's not what those debate candidates are talking about last night.
No, and Biden made the point, I think very importantly, to Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, which is that the unions will not support Medicare for all.
Absolutely.
And that's their constituency. So it's not just about hurting the rich, but also their rank and file.
Yeah, I mean,
But Bernie Sanders has given the unions a slight pass. He has amended his plan, which we should talk about, that he's given them potentially an out that he introduced a few weeks ago that was glossed over. But I just wanted to commend ABC News for letting these candidates talk last night. It was a much
I
more,
agree with you.
it was much better to watch it.
And they gave them respect to
Right,
make sure
exactly.
to let them talk. I agree with you. Emily Larson, Dallas Jones, great to see you both. Thank you so much. Very smart conversation. We so appreciate it.